Howdy, and welcome back to Film And. We have now entered the month of March, and it is still so cold and snowy out there, but we're looking forward to the spring, and with it, a new slate of movies that we can bring into our third annual Andes. I'm very excited. This is obviously our nominations episode, if you can tell by the opening music theme that I have placed in there. And it's not just any nominations episode, because this is actually one that I am recording across state lines with previous host of Film And, who has graciously agreed to come back on the show and to join us for these Andes proceedings. I'm talking about Connor. Connor, thank you so much for joining us.
No, I'm glad to be back, Dan. No thanks necessary.
Well, to catch you up on what you've missed, I talked about the Fast and the Furious, and that was fun, and I miss you, and that's about it.
I miss you too.
One point before we just get right into these nominations for the 2022 Andes, which, wow, our third annual Andes.
I know, it's crazy.
This is exciting. I just watched a certain film last night, and I couldn't help but notice that Erica liked my review of it.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
I am talking about the classic Kubrick film Clockwork Orange, which I'm still trying to process. I know that was actually the first episode of To Watch to Read was discussing Clockwork Orange, and I got like 10 minutes through the episode last night, but I was so exhausted. I'm going to finish it today to get y'all's full thoughts on it, but dude, what a film.
What a picture, exactly.
I mean, let's say this. If there was an Andes in the 70s, if 70s Dan and 70s Connor were doing the Andes, I'm going to say it, Clockwork Orange would win for best production.
Yeah, it would.
I'm not sure if it'd win for anything else.
It wouldn't receive any other nominations, but it would win best production.
Yes, it would. That was bonkers.
It was.
What he did with that. And just putting you in a completely other world when you're just straight up shooting around like London. Like that, it's definitely impressive in that sense, but boy, howdy, what a film. Anyways, getting into the Andes, as always, we've got our 10 categories. We're going to start kind of, with Best Production, and then move our way up, finishing with Best Picture. But yeah, Connor, what are the nominees for Best Production?
Well, Dan, the nominees for Best Production are Dune, Spencer, West Side Story, The French Dispatch, and Nightmare Alley.
Boy, those are some good nominations.
It is. It's almost like we made them ourselves.
Yeah. Again, I do honestly feel like this past year was, I don't want to say a stronger year for movies, but a stronger year for movies where I feel like best production is very prominent.
Yeah. Unlike last year where Emma was kind of the frontrunner from frame one.
Yeah.
This year there is actually some real competition in best production in my eyes.
Yeah, like I really look at any of these and I'm like, I'm not against any of these winning. They all deserve it in their own right in some way. I mean, you have the very ethereal and like exotic Dune. Oh my God. I mean, Spencer with this just depiction of British royalty and everything, and creating that scene, especially just in that one castle for Kristen Stewart's character to exist in is fascinating.
Plus all the incredible dresses Princess Diana wears and all that jazz. It's
my
incredible.
God. Yeah. And then obviously you have West Side, which is another movie kind of like Emma. It's like from frame one. I'm kind of like, oh, here we go.
Those amazingly intricately built sets.
Yeah. Really killer. Again, for me with West Side, I was not expecting to like the remake this much, but it's Spielberg, and God, he just knocked it out of the park in so many ways, and I appreciate that so much, because this movie should not have been as good as it was.
No.
Considering how much I revere the original,
Yeah.
And then French Dispatch.
Yeah, it's a Wes.
It's
a
Wes.
Without saying that the production design is incredible.
Yeah, you can't really go wrong with Wes Anderson there. It's crazy. He, I think, in this film, more than any, he really just shows his hand with his influence in the new wave.
Yeah.
Like French New Wave and Italian Neorealism, those two movements. Because I've been watching some myself in screenings or classes, and I'm like, that's just... People ask Wes Anderson, where did you get your ideas? And I'm like, the 60s.
Yeah.
Just Europe in the 60s with movies. He really... But he pulls them in such a unique way where it doesn't just feel like a copy, you know? Mm-hmm. And then Nightmare Alley, which was one I think that was one I was definitely on board for.
I think that's the one you fought for, because I think I had Last Night in Soho there.
Yeah.
Which Last Night in Soho, great production design, but I was more than happy to have Nightmare Alley take that spot.
Yeah.
Guillermo, another person like Wes, while he's not like as showy with his production design, you can still tell it's a Guillermo movie just by the way things look. And
it is really impressive. Not just the circus, but all the scenes in the city are just like... It's such an enveloping film. You just get sucked into it. It's really cool. And it's just such great allusions to like golden age of Hollywood. Yeah. And I guess noir cinema. Because it takes place in that time, but it's also like shot and meant to feel kind of like that as well. So
it's meant to mirror the original film, which was shot in the 40s, I believe.
Yeah. So I guess moving on, best VFX. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The nominees for Best Visual Effects are Dune, Zack Snyder's Justice League, Last Night in Soho, The Beatles, Get Back, and The Suicide Squad. This is the first category where we have to make some comments on what we have to explain ourselves. Yeah. Because people might hear The Beatles, Get Back and be like, hey, not a movie.
Not a movie, and as someone argued to me yesterday, not visual effects. Which, to be fair, it is not a visual effect. It is an AI learning process to, improve quality of film and audio.
However, in our defense of that, first off, in the original iterations of the film, before it was kind of, I don't want to say taken over by Disney. It was always going to be under Disney, but it was under the point where, like, when Disney finally got their hands on a cut that they liked, they were the ones that decided to cut it into 3 parts. Peter Jackson always intended for this to be a single film. And obviously in Peter Jackson fashion, it would have been freaking 7 hours long. No, I look at this film more in the initial discussion of how he was talking about this movie and saying it is going to be a singular film experience to watch all the way through. And obviously it is so hard to do it because it's like War and Peace levels of length. But I would say this does run like a movie. A very long movie, but a movie. Yeah. So this is why it has any categories, like any nominations here in this Andes this year. Yeah. And I guess the other one that people might be like, what about Zack Snyder's Justice League? I feel like I don't have to like defend it because I think it looks great.
It looks really good, especially with like how rushed they were, where they put this thing out, like actually making it in a matter of months. Mm-hmm. And they had to redo various scenes VFX and some like make whole new models that were never there. There's a whole new Steppenwolf model. Mm-hmm. That was the original one, which is why the old new one looks like crap. But
overall, I think what they did with that film does justice to just the original itself, building upon Zack Snyder's vision. Yeah. And obviously it feels a bit indulgent for sure because the sucker is 4 hours, but the visual effects are just there to back it up for this nomination.
Exactly.
And then, you got Dune. Great.
Which that's a no-brainer.
That's a no-brainer. Last Night in Soho is, wow.
Yeah.
The thing is, Last Night in Soho is probably the most nuanced VFX.
It's the most invisible VFX.
It does it so well. That's the point. Yeah. It's all, basically, it's playing with reflections.
Playing with reflections, rebuilding old buildings in London. Just little details there.
Fantastic. And then The Suicide Squad, which, the movie's cooled off for me, definitely, but I'm still like, they did a good job with it. It's still like, it still looks good.
I think that's another no-brainer in terms of like VFX. When you look at like Polka Dot Man's powers and Starro and stuff like that, it's like, that looks incredible.
Yeah.
The Sebastian the Rat. I love him. He's mostly practical, but he is CGI a couple times when he's doing like crazy rat things. But
isn't that one of the guns?
No, I don't think someone plays Sebastian.
Oh no!
I know. Sean Gunn is Weasel.
Sean Gunn is Weasel.
Speaking of which, Weasel looks bad
amazing.
on purpose, and I love Weasel.
Yeah, Weasel's so. Oh God, I don't know if anyone plays Sebastian the Rat. I'd want someone to, but
maybe I don't know if someone did mocap for Sebastian.
I'd love that. Just like someone's hand. Just like
I love Sebastian.
Just a green hand.
He's waving at you. It's like
yeah,
so great. I love Sebastian.
All right, next up, best cinematography. A heck of a category.
Yeah. This was the one that we were like, no matter what either of us picks, like, we'll probably agree with it.
Yes, and the thing is, when I was going into cinematography, I obviously we both picked 5. But I had like 3 or 4 in the chamber that deserved it just as much,
yeah.
And I'm really happy with what we came up here. I think there's definitely one that I really wish made it, but I can understand why it didn't. Yeah. So, who are the nominees?
The nominees are Joshua James Richards for Nomadland, Bruno Debanel, The Tragedy of Macbeth, Claire Mathon, Spencer, Janusz Kaminski, West Side Story, and Robert Yeoman, The French Dispatch.
This is another thing that we mentioned at the last Andes that we said we were going to do, is that we stayed on schedule, unlike those wussy Oscars
the pesky
who
Academy,
wanted to push it.
Who makes bad choice after bad choice.
But basically, we all including films that were released in 2021 in the months of January and February that we hadn't seen yet, that were recognized at last year's Oscars, like Nomadland, which literally won Best Picture, but we all recognizing them here as well. And it's not all of them, because we actually did get to see a couple and include them, but we had a cutoff. It was like the end of January to watch movies, and we went on with it.
Yeah.
So we all retroactively adding them here. I know it's going to be kind of weird because they've already gotten their accolades and all the hype has kind of fallen off. But yeah, oh my God, Nomadland looks amazing.
It does,
It's so beautiful. And what they did, again, this is another movie that's just like, oh my God, what they did on a budget.
Exactly, yeah.
Ridiculous. But I'm going to say, one film that I wanted on here so bad for cinematography was, and I forget who did it now, it was The Called Counter. I think that's my number 6, where I'm like, damn, it didn't make it.
I forget who that was as well, but yeah. The Called Counter looks incredible. Like I said, any 5 we could have picked this year would have been a deserving 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I think actually I persuade you off of Card Counter to do Spencer.
Yes.
Because
Spencer Spencer deserves it.
Yeah,
oh my
the
goodness.
16mm work in Spencer is insane.
Oh, did you have a number 6 that you wish was on here?
I didn't have a number 6 per se, but there was a lot. Like, it was hard for me to get it down to a 5. There wasn't one I was just narrowly debating. I don't think. Let me check my my short list I still have.
Yeah.
I mean, Andy Winner already, Ari Wegner for Zola, I thought should have been on here for a little bit. But here's the thing, PTA being his own DP for Licorice Pizza, also really damn cool.
Okay.
That was up there.
Yeah,
for me
again,
too.
you can see, I mean, just listening to us list these off, there was so many good options this year, which was really cool. I'm happy it was a very visually powerful year of film. That was really fun to watch. But, okay, moving on. We've got Best Score. The nominees all Johnny Greenwood for Spencer, Hans Zimmer for Dune, Robert Levon Bean and Giancarlo Volcano for The Called Counter, Malk Isham and Craig Harris for Judas and the Black Messiah, and Stephen Price for Last Night in Soho. And they're good.
They're good. No, like last year where it was Tenet and Soul for me, there are two here that are neck and neck for each other in terms of who I want to win eventually. I won't spoil them here because you have to tune in a couple weeks and see the winners. But
yes,
great year for score as well. Despite there being two front runners for me, I do love all 5 of these scores now that I've actually listened to them for this consideration.
It's a good. Obviously, you have Johnny Greenwood of Radiohead fame coming in, and he's been doing soundtracks and scores for as long as I can remember. He's a very talented musician and orchestrator in general. Hans Zimmer, you give it to the guy, man.
Yeah.
He's still working at the top of his game. after however many decades. I think Mark Isham and Craig Harris for Judas and the Black Messiah, another film that was recognized at the last Oscars that we're bringing in here, was a very solid score. Same with Last Night in Soho. I think the one kind of black sheep in this list is Card Counter.
Yeah.
I think some people might be like, what?
Card Counter is a black sheep in every category we have it in, arguably, Dan. With the exception of one, I would say it's a black sheep in every category.
Fair. That is fair. Yeah. This movie should have gotten more talk.
Yeah. Here's the thing. We'll talk about it when we get to a certain category.
We
Arguably
sure will.
my favorite lead performance of the year. So
yeah, it's up there for me. Looking back,
that's not saying
I'm
he's going to win, but arguably the best lead performance of the year. Which, if you know who the lead of Card Counter is, it's already spoiled for you. But whatever.
Yeah, it's been spoiled, but like maybe you haven't seen Card Counter.
Maybe you haven't,
because I don't know too many people who have. Honestly,
no, and you should fix that.
Yeah,
it's a good movie.
All right. Right now, we are going to take a quick PSA break, and we're going to get into our final 6 categories. During this PSA break, me and Connor just suggest to you that you pause the episode and go and watch the Card Counter. In whatever way you can, just go watch it. It's only like 2 hours, maybe less. You can come back and listen to the last 15 minutes of the
preferably
episode.
watch it legally. Support filmmakers.
Yes. Rent it on Amazon.
Rent it on Amazon, iTunes. You know. The Blu-ray is cheaper right now. Do what you need to do.
Okay, well, we'll be back in just a minute.
All right, everybody in the car. Let's go.
What are we gonna do first when we get there, Mom? Go for a hike?
Sure.
What about canoeing? Can we go canoeing too?
I don't see why.
How long does it take to get to the forest?
It's not that far, sweetie.
Are we there yet?
Yep, we're here.
Already?
It's a short drive from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
All right, hello and welcome back to Film And. We obviously are doing our Andes nominations episode for the 3rd annual Andes, which I believe will be airing 2 weeks from the time this is airing. I believe I have one episode next week, and then I believe we'll be recording the Andes.
Yeah.
That following week.
Yeah, recording the Andes in person.
Oh, yes, folks.
Exciting
we will
times.
be having an in-person Andes together, and we're quite excited for it.
And I'm not going to... I have no one lined up yet, but I'm hoping we have a couple special guests, too.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Maybe one in studio, and then a couple others, like the same thing as last year.
Cool.
You know who in studio is going to be. Let's not beat around the bush.
Oh. Wait. No. Wait. Did you...
No, who do you think it is, Dan?
Did you get the host of To Watch To Read?
Yeah, I did.
No way! No way! Oh my god!
No, we're really tight. Me and the host of To Watch To Read.
Cool.
I can't guarantee she might have to work because she's lame and has a job, but
no.
We'll see.
Okay. That's fair. It's fair. Okay, well, listen. I'm very excited for that special guest, but
for a second I thought you were like, don't say Steve, because they're going to be disappointed. It's not Steve.
No. Our next category, which has been announced by our friend Steve before, Best Supporting Actress here at the Andes. Connor, who are the nominees?
The nominees for Best Supporting Actress are Riley Keough, Zola, Ariana DeBose, West Side Story, Alicia Vikander, Blue Bayou, Dominique Fishback, Judas and the Black Messiah, and Katherine Hunter, The Tragedy of Macbeth.
Good picks.
Good picks.
Good picks. And I'll be honest. Say it.
It was a divisive category.
Yes, it was.
We had a thing, Dan. We agreed if we only have like one in common, we each get 2. We keep our common one. Yeah. And then that's the 5.
And that's just the 5.
So my 2. This does not mean they're gonna win. I'm just telling you who my 2 were Riley Keough and Ariana DeBose for West Side Story.
Yes. And my 2, which you might notice, were Dominique Fishback, Judas and the Black Messiah, and Katherine Hunter, Tragedy of Macbeth, who played the witches. And then I guess the middle was
Alicia Vikander. You wanted her for Green Knight. I wanted her for Blue Bayou.
And we just
we're like,
that was the only battle we really waged on this category was which Alicia Vikander performance do we highlight? And I still haven't had a chance to see Blue Bayou. So she's
very good in the movie.
I'm going on just blind
Going
faith.
on vibes alone.
Just vibes, man. I'm happy to give it to Blue Bayou instead of Green Knight. I wasn't a huge fan of Green Knight, but Alicia Vikander always just stands out as it's just a bright spot in any film she's in. She's one of my favorite working actresses today, and she killed it. And I'm excited to see Blue Bayou when I get a chance, hopefully before the Andes, so I can really understand whether maybe she'll get the win. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
You know, it's
We'll see.
Yeah. I guess next up we have got Best Supporting Actor. Oh man, what a category. The nominees are Robin DeJesus for Tick Tick Boom, Mike Faist for West Side Story, Oscar Isaac for Dune, Benicio del Toro for The French Dispatch, and Troy Kotsur for Coda. And when we both saw the news that Troy Kotsur was nominated in the Oscars for Coda, and we had come up with this list before the Oscars had announced their list, and seeing him get that kind of representation, for a deaf man to get an Oscar nom, that was so cool.
I mean, and something else big happened recently too, Dan. I don't know if you saw, but he won the SAG Award.
He did?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's amazing.
Which is very cool.
Yeah.
Because he's
that's a good
currently
sign.
he's like the dark horse to win the Oscar now.
Yeah, that's
the SAG
cool.
Award really did boost him. He still has to beat Cody Smith-McPhee for Power of the Dog.
Yep.
But he's getting up there now.
That's fantastic. That's cool. I'm looking at this supporting actor list, and I don't know how I'm going to pick.
Yeah.
How are we going to do this?
5 incredible picks.
5 incredible performances.
I mean, just going down the line, Robin DeJesus, I'd seen him in The Boys in the Band.
Mm-hmm.
Very good performance.
Yeah.
And then he blew my socks off in Tick Tick Boom.
Yes. That was one of my favorite performances of the year. Another standout among that movie.
And then, Dan, I do not have enough words to describe Mike Feist.
Oh my goodness.
He is so good. Dude.
Wow.
I'm shaking ecstatically.
I can see it, yeah.
I love him. I love him in that movie.
He is amazing.
It's on Disney Plus now, so I rewatched a couple scenes, and the scene with him in the bar where he's buying the gun, and then immediately followed up tossing the gun and cool and doing the ballet. Oh, it's so cool, man.
He was kind of the unexpected performance in that movie that I was just anytime I saw him on screen, I'm like, yeah, here we go. Yes, he's back. No, insane. I'm so excited to see what else he does in film. My goodness.
He is he joined a Luca Guadagnino movie called Champions.
Nice.
Where he plays down in his luck tennis player who's coached by his wife, played by Zendaya. And I'm hyped.
Oh my god. Okay. Cool. You got Luca Guadagnino did Call Me by Your Name, I believe.
Yeah,
and also Suspiria. So
our agreed upon best horror film, Suspiria.
Yay! Yeah, hell yeah, good movie. And Mike Feist, just man, great. Oscar Isaac and Dune. It was cool.
Yes,
it was cool that we agreed on that. I wasn't honestly that was on my list, and I wasn't expecting you to agree.
No, that along with a different performance in lead actor, I was like, yeah, this
what a year
Oscar
this
Isaac.
guy had.
This is his year.
Yeah,
this is his year.
Yeah.
I still need to see Scenes from Marriage on HBO Max, but that too, kind of the exact same year. He's just it was just his time.
Killer.
It was just his time.
Killer. I'll be honest. I know his name is Oscar Isaac, but he might need to consider changing his name to Andy Isaac.
Such a dumb joke.
Sorry, Andy Isaac. Benicio del Toro, my pick. That was one I brought in there. Loved his role in French Dispatch.
Who did I have in his spot? I'm trying to remember.
I don't know.
Someone wrong, apparently.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, for me, for Dune, I actually had either Oscar Isaac or Stellan Skarsgård. I was like, pick either, and I'm happy with them. I thought both of them.
I remember who I had now.
Oh, who'd you have?
You goofball.
Oh, no. Oh, well, I remember who you had. Yes. I'm so sorry.
Here's the thing. Bradley Cooper for Licorice Pizza is so good in that movie. It is ridiculous you were against him.
Dude, that is such a bland... I'm sorry. It's such a bland...
You're a fart. You're a fart, man.
I'm sorry.
Here's the thing, Dan. For the people out there, in a previous nomination category, I forget what it was.
Yeah.
But I fought very heavily for a specific nomination. And I told Dan, if you let me have this one, you get one free veto later on.
Yes.
But I said to Dan, if you veto what I think you're going to veto, you suck. And then he vetoed exactly what I thought he was going to veto.
I wasn't surprised. I was a little surprised. I was very surprised to be like, no, that's the one you meant? Because I knew you liked.
He's so good in that movie, Dan. He's so good.
Not good.
Dan, it's
what on earth is funny? At least I need your thoughts on this. What's funny to you about just two people trying to pronounce Barbra Streisand's name for just two straight up minutes?
Here's the thing. If you know who John Peters is, the story about John Peters in Hollywood being a nightmare, and then you see Bradley Cooper perfectly personifying that nightmare, and just like going over this kid who's like saying the name fine, and he's like just like Barbra Streisand. And it's perfect. And then his whole speech was like, if you mess in my bed, I'm going to kill you. Him, like, getting back in the truck.
He barely does anything. He's like, I don't know, man.
It's a perfect 8-minute performance.
8? Yeah, exactly. 8 minutes. He barely does anything. Aren't there, like, deleted scenes that were in the trailer?
I don't think so.
When on earth does he, like...
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
the thing with the cars.
Yeah, he smashes the cars with a...
Yeah, the thing with the cars isn't there.
Which is so weird that they shot that and it's not... Because I was like, oh, he's going to do something crazy. And then he just...
No, he does a lot of things crazy. He holds a lighter at a gas pump.
Yeah.
Oh, good movie. Okay, let's move on.
Oh, moving on. Yes. Okay, moving on. Next up, we have Best Actress. All right. The nominees, please, Connor.
Nominees are Kristen Stewart, Spencer, Rachel Zegler, West Side Story, Alana Haim, Licorice Pizza, Thomasin McKenzie, Last Night in Soho, and Amelia Jones, Coda.
Dude, Thomasin McKenzie.
I know. Here's the thing. Thomasin has been represented at every single Andes because she's one of the best.
That's so insane. Because, like, I feel like we don't even mean to do it. But
we didn't mean to.
No, she's picking such good roles, and then they just turn out so good. Like,
I don't want to alienate my queen. I want her to be on this podcast. I want her to accept her certificates from like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
She was not in my short list. I'm going to be completely honest.
She was in mine.
She was in yours.
Yeah.
The same rule happened where we each got 2, and we settled on the middle one.
Because, we both agreed on Kristen Stewart for Spencer. I got Amelia Jones and Thomasin McKenzie. And you got Rachel Zegler.
I got Rachel Zegler. And Dan, once again, you and your vendetta against Licorice Pizza.
It's not a vendetta, man.
It's a vendetta, Dan. You're wrong. You have a bias. You're mean.
You have a bias. You love it, and I think it's
Alana Haim is great
average.
in that movie.
Dude, she's just... I don't see the hype of any of the performances, like, mostly in that movie, I swear.
The lead 3 performances are great. I can't wait to see you in person so I can slug you in the arm.
Oh, God, yeah. I maybe I deserve it, but, like, you know what? If I have anything to say about it...
Yeah, anyway. So the noms we do have.
Yes.
Kristen Stewart and Spencer... So glad she got the Oscar nom. She really squeaked in there, and I was nervous she wasn't going to.
Yeah, that was... In
my opinion, since none of the nominees are in common between Oscars and Andes, she should win the Oscar.
That would be lovely.
Doesn't mean she's going to win the Andy, but she should win the Oscar.
Rachel Zegler, a surprisingly powerful performance. Yeah.
This being her first movie, fresh out of Shrek the Musical at her high school. Incredible stuff.
Yeah, she killed it.
Then Alana Haim, good. Moving on.
Okay. Thomasin McKenzie, good. Moving on.
Amelia Jones.
Amelia Jones.
In all seriousness, like, she's incredible in this movie.
Incredible performance, but easily the dark horse again.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In this category for us, it doesn't mean she won't win. I think she has a chance when we get down to it. But like, I think this is kind of the more out there pick. I think
any actor that learns a different language for a role I'm always very impressed.
Just congrats, you know.
Yeah. There's a great story when she was auditioning for Coda. She had to sign in her audition, obviously, because she's the only hearing actor. Well, one of the only hearing actors in the movie.
Yeah.
And she was sent a study guide with like all the signs memorized, but she lost the study guide after only viewing it once.
Oh my goodness.
And she just drilled the motions into like her like muscle memory so hard.
Oh my God.
Didn't know what she was saying, but in her audition, Sean Heder, I believe it was her, maybe it was the casting director, but told her that was the best sign language they've seen in an audition. Whoa. When she had just memorized like everything, like after seeing it one time.
That's insane.
So Amelia Jones.
Yeah, wow.
Good actor.
Yeah, Amelia Jones. That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that. Wow. Okay, well, moving on. Best actor: Jason Isaacs for Mass, Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah, Oscar Isaac for The Called Counter, Andrew Garfield for Tick, Tick, Boom, and Bradley Cooper for Nightmare Alley. Good category.
So, Dan, we should address the wild one in this category. We should.
Yeah.
Considering he won an Oscar for a different category last year.
I think we talked about just straight up this one nomination for like 20 minutes when we did this list a month ago.
Yeah, because you were wrong. But anyway,
at least
so Daniel Kaluuya is here for Judas and the Black Messiah when he won Best Supporting Actor last year.
I think the Academy placed his role wrong. I would say him and Lakeith Stanfield are both the leads of that movie. It is just as much about Daniel Kaluuya and his perspective as it is about Lakeith Stanfield's, and I will Stanfield by that.
Yeah.
Till the end of time.
My argument was obviously he was there last year, but obviously so was Lakeith. Mm-hmm. So things are kind of mixed up there. But the lead of our movie is the Judas. Mm-hmm. The subject is the Black Messiah.
Yes.
That's kind of my thing, where it's like Lakeith is the lead of the movie, but the movie is about Daniel Kaluuya, if that makes sense.
But there are plenty of scenes without Lakeith Stanfield where we get to understand who he is as a character, and it's almost like a biopic of Daniel Kaluuya and his character. Like that's
Fred Hampton,
Fred Hampton. So yeah, I'm just happy he's nominated here. Like that's.
I'm glad he was always nominated. Let's make that very clear.
Yeah.
Just in my list, he was in supporting.
And in my list, he was in lead.
Yeah. So we settled here and made some concessions.
And Jason Isaacs from Mass, another film I have yet to see, but I want to see before the Andes.
Obviously, with Mass, for those who don't know, it is about like these two families meeting in a church to discuss a school shooting that happened 5 years earlier.
Yeah.
And very, very powerful film. Most of it takes place just in that one room with that one conversation. And Jason Isaacs plays the father of a child who died in the shooting.
Yeah.
And he's very good throughout the movie. But like everything, there's one scene where I'm like, he has to be nominated. And that's one I fought for because obviously you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's one of those things where it's like, once you see Mass, I know you'll agree with me. Just trust me on this one.
Yeah. And I trust you. I trust you on Jason Isaacs. I trust you on Alicia Vikander and Riley Keough. I trust you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oscar Isaac for The Called Counter.
And in case you didn't figure out, that's what we were talking about earlier.
That was the earlier one. Yeah. Congrats. If you solved the mystery.
No awards presence whatsoever from what I can understand. And arguably one of the best lead performances of the year. Incredible stuff.
Yep. Fantastic. Moving on from Oscar Isaac, who deserves an Oscar, and his name is Isaac. Andrew Garfield, Tick, Tick, Boom.
Yes, Tick, Tick, Boom. Andrew Garfield, great actor.
He's
the one Oscar nominee we do have on this list.
Yep, and I was surprised to see him on the Oscar list, but he is very safely on this Andy's list.
Yeah.
And then Bradley Cooper, Nightmare Alley, for what I would argue is Bradley Cooper's best performance of the year. Wouldn't you say, Connor?
It's pretty close. He's very good at Nightmare Alley.
He's quite good.
Here's the thing. Like Oscar Isaac, I went into this nominations process being like, Oscar and Bradley, 2-time nominees. Let's go. And then Dan crapped all over my dreams.
I'm sorry.
But, yeah, whatever.
I'm just happy we agreed on Nightmare Alley.
Yeah, I'm happy we agreed on Nightmare Alley.
Imagine if I didn't want Bradley in here at all.
That'd be pretty poopy.
It would be.
I'd be upset.
All right, moving on. We got 2 categories left, and the first of those is Best Director. And I have to ask Connor, who are the nominees?
Pablo Larraín for Spencer, Shaka King for Judas and the Black Messiah, Chloe Zhao, Nomadland, Denis Villeneuve, Dune, and Steven Spielberg, West Side Story.
Yeah, so easily, some very established voices in Hollywood kind of popping up here, specifically Villeneuve and Spielberg for Dune and West Side, 2 of the bigger productions of the year. Chloe Zhao for Nomadland, obviously the reigning champ of the Oscars. Yeah. I prefer that we didn't talk about it last year because I want people to understand that the hype is not dead on this movie.
Exactly.
A year later, it hits just as hard, and her directing prowess has not gone away. And even with Eternals, a movie I liked quite a bit, it's still there.
Eternals. still a very well-directed movie.
Heck yeah.
I think of no shade to hopefully someone who gives me a job in the future. But the MCU does not ruin that. It's still a very well-directed movie.
Yeah.
If it was an original superhero movie and she was allowed to do a little bit more stuff,
that would have been very nice.
It's been bonkers.
Pablo Larraín for Spencer. I don't know what else Pablo's
he
done.
did his big one people talk about in connection to Spencer is Jackie. With Natalie Portman.
Okay, yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He's done a few other things, but that's like the big one people are talking about in conjunction to Spencer.
Yeah.
Because it's his. People are joking. Our friend Steve is one of them. The third film should be about Yoko.
I would love that. I would love that. The question is, would you make that before? I mean, Yoko Ono's old.
Do we wait till she dies? Is that what you're asking?
No. The question is, would you want to like get into the process of making the film while she's still around to like share her story, you know?
Yeah.
Because Jackie and Spencer were not.
Yeah.
But Yoko is, and I think that could be really interesting to hear her side.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you saw Get Back, you know that
if you see Get Back, you know Yoko is a character.
Yeah.
What a great. She's a cool lady.
Just a really cool lady who's just there.
Yeah.
And then finally, Shaka King, Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yeah.
Really strong directing performance. I think this is one I
Yeah.
fought for. We might have agreed on this, but I was
We
definitely
did, yeah.
like, yeah.
I like Shaka King quite a bit. I think I forget who took one of the spots here for me. You had Leo's Carax for Annette.
Oh, for
on here
Annette,
originally.
that was it. Great, yeah, great directing performance. Did I have Call Counter on here too?
I think I had Wes for French Dispatch.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And I think it came between like Villeneuve and Spielberg and Wes, didn't it? And we went with Dune and West Side.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Right off of this list, you have Wes Anderson and Leo's Carax. And sorry, fellas, but hey.
It was a tough year.
It was a tough year, and that does not take away how well you directed your films.
Exactly.
But, yeah, I guess moving on.
To the big one.
The big boy. Best Picture, of which we have 9 nominees this year. Mm-hmm. A good old number of nominees, and heartbreaking that 8 of these don't get to win. But the nominees for Best Picture of the 2022 Andes all: Nomadland, Spencer, The Beatles, Get Back, West Side Story, French Dispatch, Dune, Mass, The Called Counter, and Coda. So a lot of one-word names.
Yeah, we have a lot of one-word titles.
Coda, Mass, Dune, Spencer, Nomadland. Hell yeah. Good year. Good year, man. I don't know how the heck we're going to pick this. Again, with the whole Beatles Get Back thing, this is just a very unique film for this year. And again, I do consider it a film that I was forced to watch in 3 installments. I fought for it, and I think we were going to do 8, and then that one was the 9th spot that we kind of like added on to or something.
We had that. It was we had 10 originally. Mm-hmm. Once again, Dan, if the audience here notices what is not present on this list,
let me say,
Dan has a vendetta.
Let me say, I was the reason House of Gucci didn't make the list.
You're a turd, dude.
Sorry.
Here's the thing. Licorice Pizza was on this list. Dan did not want to go to 10.
No, I did not. You should be happy with what you got. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry.
Here's the thing. I will say I'm very glad Spencer made it here.
Same.
And obviously, since you haven't seen Mass, I kind of fought for Mass.
Yeah.
And I was happy, like all jokes aside, to switch out Licorice Pizza for Mass, because I think Mass does deserve a little more recognition here, just for how powerful that movie actually is and what it is trying to say and add to the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, going back to my joke a bit earlier, I do realize House of Gucci has 0 nominations on our list.
I wonder why, man.
I had Jared Leto for supporting actor.
Here's the thing. I love you. It's the take everyone has, and it's such a crazy take. He's not good in that movie.
The only reason he gets it, actually, I think he's awesome in that movie, first off. This is nothing against Jared Leto, because I've seen some pretty intriguing performances from him. but it feels like he's trying to like Christian Bale it, but he's not as good as Christian Bale, you know?
Yes.
Like Christian Bale is like the master of method acting in some ways.
Speaking of which,
like,
it's just because how the timing has worked out. It is crazy Christian Bale is not an Andy's nominee.
yeah.
Just because like his performances haven't lined up. Like we didn't love him in Ford v Ferrari enough to give him a nom.
I mean, I did love him,
like,
but just not enough for him to eke in there. And I don't see a performance of his down the road right now. He doesn't have anything lined
Gore
up.
the God Butcher in Thor: Love and Thunder, Dan.
Yeah, maybe he will drop the performance of
Also,
the year.
here's the thing, all jokes aside, he is in that new David O. Russell movie coming out in a few months.
Oh yeah,
So
that's gonna be
maybe.
insane. That's like a legendary cast.
It is, yeah. Anyway, just running. We'll run down the 9, then we'll close it out for
Yes.
now.
So,
But yeah, so Nomadland, obviously won Best Picture last year.
Yes.
Very good movie. And like you're saying, since a year has passed, nothing has changed in terms of like the quality of this movie and like how much we
Exactly.
both love it.
both my favorite film of last year, actually.
Yeah, mine too.
And then Spencer, really just beautiful, both performances and visually, and a striking look at who Princess Di was as a person and the struggle she went through.
And I the reason he has director, Pablo Larraín, has such a masterful use of the camera in that movie. Mm-hmm. It's bonkers.
It is quite bonkers.
Beatles get back.
Yep.
Obviously, there's some blowback to it being here. In terms of what it accomplishes as just like, if you want to call it a documentary series, like this, like deep look we've ever had into these like 4 men.
Yeah.
And just who they are.
Some of the most mythical musicians of all time.
Yeah.
Some people say some of the greatest rock musicians of all time. The people who did it first and did it best in the most intimate look at who they were as people. And then West Side Story, an amazing remake of an American mid-century classic by one of the greatest directors of all and previous generations, Steven Spielberg.
And French Dispatch, we've had this discussion before. I don't know if we had it on air, but while Grand Budapest is the most Wes Anderson, I do think this is the most refined Wes Anderson. Like, all the rough edges are smoothed off, and this is just him executing flawlessly for me.
I really feel, the more I hear you say that, the more I think about it, the more I agree with you. I think this really is his most refined work to date. And then we have Dune, the epic first part of what is looking to be a very exciting adaptation of this classic sci-fi novel. Maybe we'll get more than 10 lines out of Zendaya in the next one. That'd be cool.
I hope so.
That'd be awesome.
Mass, like I mentioned, just I feel it needs to be here. Very important movie with incredible 4 lead performances. That's all I need to say about Mass.
And I'm excited. We'll probably talk about it more. Even if it doesn't win or not, I will watch it and we will talk about it on the next Andy's episode.
Yeah.
And then The Called Counter, Oscar Isaac in one of his greatest performances of his career, in a great movie that surprised me a lot and is fun and inventive and should get more buzz.
Yes. And then closing out with Coda, obviously mentioned, incredible, good movie. Mm-hmm. It is the most schmaltzy thing on this list. I don't think that's a fault, though. I don't think it being accessible or like very like family oriented is a bad thing. No. I think that like how Mass tells its story, I think Coda takes a very different approach.
Agreed.
And in terms of like representation, it's crazy.
Oh, it's
like,
amazing.
3 of the 4 leads are deaf actors. Is unheard of.
It is a masterclass in multilingual filmmaking, if it's anything, you know?
Yeah.
And just the story it tells. Yeah, because it's not just like, hey, here's a movie that like does this well. It's a good story.
Yeah.
You know, I love the story.
Here's the, I am a wimpy little guy. I'm a sucker. But obviously, for those who have not seen Coda, the girl, their hearing daughter, who is a Coda, child of deaf adults, really is into music, loves to sing, but obviously her parents cannot hear her sing.
Yeah.
And there's a couple scenes, one involving Troy Kotsur in the back of their family pickup truck. Where he's just like,
That's the scene that literally rocketed this film to Best Picture, to Best Supporting Actor, to Best Actress.
No, like, there's that where he like puts her hand on his hand on her throat and like he like feels the vibrations of her singing, and then they sneak into her audition for, I believe it's Juilliard. Is it Juilliard? Yeah. And she sees them up in the top row and she starts signing the song, and it gets me. every time.
It's so good, man. I was like
Every time.
losing it. That was awesome. But yeah, let's end on that amazing note.
Yeah,
These are
amazing.
the
Great
nominees.
movie. If you've not seen these Best Picture nominees or any of the films nominated, please watch them.
Watch all of them.
They're very
Watch
good.
all of them. Yeah, Coda is on Apple. Call Counter,
Apple TV Plus,
Amazon.
I don't.
French Dispatch is on HBO right now.
Yeah, it might have already passed. They are doing free screenings of Coda in theaters across the country.
I saw that.
So if that's not already passed when this comes out, go see Coda in a theater.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, those are the nominations for the 3rd annual Andes. You will be hearing from us 2 weeks from now for the announcement of the winners. As always, we will have sparkling cider and envelopes and all that jazz, and maybe some very fun special guests.
Now begins the process of me DMing countless celebrities asking, do you want to be on my dumb college radio show?
As always, thank you so much, Connor, for coming back to Film And. It wouldn't be the Andes without you, and I'm very excited to have another episode with someone to talk to.
Yeah.
It gets lonely here in these walls, in the Film And offices.
Me and everyone else telling you to get a co-host.
Hey, man, it's not that easy. To everyone listening, as always, if you want to hear about any of the movies we talk about on this show, you can go to my Letterboxd list at DA_N. And anyone we talked about in the first full seasons of Film And, you can go to Cranberry 18's Letterboxd list, CRAND Berry 18. I probably won't be putting every single Andes film on the Letterboxd list. Just trust that the winners, the movies that are represented in the winners episode, will be showing up on my list.
I
so those
want
are the ones
to
you'll
eventually make a Letterboxd list that is just called Andes, and it has like every film that won and like what they won for.
Yes, that would be small. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening, and you will be hearing from me next week.
Okay, bye, guys.